Good afternoon. All right, let's see if we get this working here. Yeah. So, don't expect a regular presentation here. My talk is about build a thing that builds the thing. I want to inspire you a little bit how to approach building software in the future. You know, it's been not even a year since we have coding agents, and it's kind of like half a year since they got good, and there's no stopping down. So a lot of the ways we built software in the past, I feel, are obsolete, and we haven't really figured it out yet. I'm curious here, is anyone here who maintains open source? Yes. How are you handling the pain? So I kind of stumbled into OpenClaw. People, I saw all these articles where people said, oh, Peter made 43 projects that failed. And then finally, like, one worked. And I had to laugh at this, because none of these projects failed. All of these projects are things I built for myself to work faster, to like mostly actually to like help my agents to work faster. Like anytime you build software now, your job is no longer to figure out how you build software faster. Really, your job should be, what can I do to help my agent to build software faster? And even more so, it's all about closing the loop. You know, last year I spent a few months building a SaaS. And the agent would write code, and then it would like tell me it's done, and then I would look at the browser, I would bitch at the agent, it would like go in a loop, it will fix it, and then eventually we would be there. And that was until I figured out, like, hey, no, the agent just can like, make a screenshot, you know, just like humans would. Like anything where you feel this is something I do repeatedly, you should start thinking, how can I automate this? How can I help my agent to close the loop? So I want to guide you a little bit through all my failed projects and give you a little bit of the thought process. I put on this website a little bit. It's pure slop, but I think it's kind of nice for that. All the little tools that we built to build OpenClaw. And I don't think it's even complete. So my first problem was that OpenClaw kind of exploded, and then the issues and PRs started increasing, and I didn't know that this number actually, once it reaches 5K, it stays at 5K, and kind of masks it. At some point, we had like more than 10,000 issues, because people don't look, they're just like, oh, I mean, people. The agents don't look. Yeah? You know, it's like, let's not pretend any of that is written by humans anymore. And I know a lot of open source people get really mad at all the slop they're getting. But I feel you can't fight the world. You have to figure out a way how to deal with that. So I see it differently. Yes, there's a lot of slop. But the real problem is that it's still called pull request. I call it prompt request. Because what you really want is, anytime someone opens an issue or PR, it's just a signal that somebody is not happy with what you built and is asking for a change. Actually, like these two things are like interchangeable. Like mostly, doesn't matter if it's an issue or PR. Sometimes an issue is actually nicer because I can work fresh. If it's a pull request and like somebody used Claude, I'm like, it probably takes me more time to like make my agent read the code and then like bitch at the code and then rewrite the code. But the first thing I had to solve was, how do I get this number down? And I tried, obviously you try tools, right? I tried CodeRabbit, I tried GrabDAO, I tried a bunch of tools, and they were nice. But they ultimately would just give me a review. I wanted more. Reviews are nice, but I kind of want something that automatically groups and closes the issues. And I couldn't find anything good. And in this day and age, you don't actually need to wait anymore to like find stuff. You can just build your own stuff. So I built 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗶𝟐. Again, totally slopped website because the website doesn't matter. But it's actually really simple to build. Like, I don't know what all these SaaS tools, where their moat is, because ultimately, anytime someone opens an issue or a pull request, I just start a codex in the cloud via a GitHub action and have a nice prompt that explains the codex, like what's the goal of the project, what's our vision. I do this now for any of my open source projects. I have a vision.md, and part of my standard prompt is that my agent reads that file, and in that file is kind of like what stuff that, yes, we totally want, what stuff that definitely we don't want. And based on those rules, 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 will run, and will just either comment on the issue or close the issue. And through that, I was able to like close around 15,000 issues. I mean, yes, I also operate on the assumption that I have infinite tokens. You could definitely do this a little bit more efficient. But we didn't stop there. Once we had a system that could close issues, of course, we also wanted to review issues. And it's not a static process, right? At our scale, anytime a fix lands on main, there's a good chance that I solved an issue that I've never read because there's like many thousand issues open. So what we do is actually we rerun 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 on every issue and pull request at least once a week. Depending on how many tokens you want to spend, you could do it every day. So what regularly happens is that I have an integration on Discord, and then the report will tell me, yeah, I closed this issue from 3 months ago that I've never seen, just because 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 would run on that issue. And then a person that wrote an issue will get a response, hey, we fixed this on main. And again, it's something I don't have to deal with it, I automated it. It solved the problem. I also built a nice dashboard, so as you see right now, there's only 18 codecs working right now. And this is how it looks. It's just one long comment that explains what it does, and it gives people an array of issues that they need to solve, typical stuff. The next thing I had to solve, now the project gained momentum, I added more maintainers. And some people turned out to be really good. Some people, they kind of showed up for a few days and then disappeared. And I was very liberal in the beginning of adding people, and I lost a little bit overview. So I wanted a dashboard. So I just built a dashboard. So now we have reports at OpenClaw. This is not public for everyone because you want a little bit more data, actually. I'm not just looking at GitHub issues. I also look at all our Discord stuff. So to me, being a good maintainer doesn't just mean you push code to main. Also means that you participate in discussions, which we use Discord for that. So this system integrates all data from Discord. Now, that brought me to the next problem. How do I get the data from Discord? Well, let's just build Discrawl. Like in this day and age, any problem is just a prompt away. Like building this thing is never the hard thing. Maintaining this thing is actually the hard thing. But again, even now when I maintain stuff, I don't think about the project level anymore. It looks like this. I basically I go one level beyond. I go into my projects folder and ask Codex, hey, let's triage. What are the things that I should work on? And it just finds a list of all my projects and open issues. And then I basically say, yes, do all of them. Because I already have. My slop is better than your slop. No, I don't do all of them because there's still, sometimes people report weird stuff. And I don't fully trust my agents. So I wanna read that, right? So again, I'm a lazy person. I could click on each of those URLs. But it's kind of like slow. So I built something where you just select the text. And I built myself an issue browser. Because again, it was like there was like just a few clicks too much. It annoyed me a little bit too much. And the critical thing that you are is like your time's limited. So you need to build the tools to build the tools. So again, I built this little slop wiped issue browser where I can copy by now any format because it turns out there's Clanker's given an almost unlimited amount of versions how they format things. So anytime something didn't work, I just like fixed it to make it work, and now it basically parses all the formats that it's ever seen. And I can very quickly click through this list. In many cases, the agents are already so good because I have this vision.md file that the selection is mostly right. And I usually say, no, do those 8, don't do those 2, because I know this needs actual time. You know, anytime you work with agents, you want to optimize what they can do autonomously, and then it doesn't matter how long it takes. You want to really manage the focus time where you want to be in the loop for the things that are important, and all the things, what is that even? Gmail draft create. Yeah, that's probably a nice feature. Oh yeah, let's look at this. This is a nice feature on 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, another thing that I built because I got annoyed that Google doesn't have a CLI, and I want my agents to access all my Google. Yes, like Codex has Gmail integration and now calendar integration, but only for one account. Again, and it annoyed me, so I just built a CLI that can do everything. Anytime something's missing, because I control the whole stack, my agent controls the whole stack, so it can just fix itself. So like you own the whole universe, anything is fixable. And all these issues are super nice, because this would eventually add a feature. Codex can not only build it, but also end-to-end verify it, because I, of course, have like a demo account on 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, so it can end-to-end test the whole feature, and I basically have to do nothing other than saying yes, and I can ship it. And I can ship it with confidence because it's end-to-end tested. So then I built this scroll for the maintainer reports. Turns out this solves a much bigger problem, because when you do open source and you have multiple thousands of issues, it's very hard to know what's actually the thing that I should work on. So now I hooked up this scroll to Codex, and it will go through all my channels, and I can basically ask it, what are people screaming the most, correlated to open issues and PRs, and find me the top 5 things I should work on. It should like match it with my vision document, pick the stuff that you can work autonomously, and then basically it can run off and work for, doesn't matter how many hours. You can parallelize it. And then what you always should know when you build, even when you highly automate with agents, is you should have the overview of your system. So you will know which issues are like, probably fine, ooh, this is hairy, I need to look at that more specifically. So I built this scroll, and then of course all my maintainers wanted this scroll. But again, there's no public way to get all this data, so I used a bot, Multi, that is in Discord, to like use him to access all the data. But then how do you distribute it to the other maintainers? Well, what's the simplest backup system there is? GitHub. So all the data from our Discord is now just in some, oh, this could store, just in some format that serializes the database. And anyone that uses this scroll can just use this as an alternative data server if they don't have a bot token, because I didn't want to give my bot token to all the people. This is good enough. Again, problem solved. Now, if you're like me and you're maintaining a lot of open source projects, what I always wanted was a way to have this a little dashboard of like what actually needs my attention, where are the most pull requests, should I do another release? But there wasn't really anything good, so I just built release bar. And now I can filter on this specifically, how many days since the last release. So whenever I do like my little fixes, and you know, software, if you don't constantly garden your software, it's dead. Because dependencies, everything needs updating, systems change. So now I have a nice dashboard to know when should I do another release, and I can basically filter on stuff that need attention. And again, the beauty of all these little tools that you build to help you build the thing, they're not system critical. So all these tools, I actually didn't look at any of that code, because it doesn't matter. Like for stuff that a lot of people run, OpenClaw, I read more code than people would think. But for all these little helper tools, vibe them away. And if you don't, maybe you use them a lot, then you can like iterate on them. Maybe they don't work out, no cost. Yeah, we talked about the little browser here. There's another thing now that I use more and more agents to work on things in parallel. I hit another problem. There's only so many GitHub tokens that you can use. And because we have so many issues, and I instructed my agent to find related issues, I always ran out of token. And I know that I don't know if the GitHub people are here. Like, they are good friends, and I have someone literally clicking a button once an hour to reset Peter's rate limits. But the problem is these people need sleep. It's not clankers. So when I was working weird hours, like Ashley wasn't around. I couldn't ping her to like reset my tokens. Again, I find being annoyed is the very best way to solve problems. So I built Octopool. And you're like, my feelings were like transported into this thing's feelings. But the principle is very easy. Octopool. Let's see if this actually works. But again, the principle is very easy. You as a individual have 5,000 API tokens per hour. But if you install a GitHub app, it gives you 15,000 tokens per hour. So I just built a thing that shims GH and then calls this thing on Cloudflare. If it's a read-only, if it's a non-mutating read-only action from a public repository, it can use the GitHub app and then use the token from the GitHub app and not my token. Only if it's something that's mutating or it doesn't fit that match, it will use my token. Bam. Again, problem solved. And all the tools are so good now, especially Cloudflare. I just explained the agent what I want. And then with the combination of really smart models, browser use, you don't have to do anything anymore. Like, literally, you could configure Cloudflare itself. You probably still want to have a look at, because you want to review if it actually doesn't mess up your security settings. But the idea is anytime you feel pain, go a level out and think about what can I do to like get rid of that pain. And then usually it will not only help you, it will help your whole team, and it compounds. All the little tools I built help me to build faster. Another another problem I had, yeah, how are we on time, actually? I think we're good. Who here had this problem? Who's crazy enough to run like more than, let's say, 10 codec sessions, except Claude 2? Yeah, you guys need to level up. So the project grew. It kind of exploded. The code and the features grew. People reported bugs. Our test case grew. And the tests were becoming more and more a pain. You know, that's the stuff kind of creeps in. It took like 10 seconds, and took 30 seconds, and took a minute. Then it took 2 minutes. At one point it took 5 minutes. Then I optimized it for my Mac Studio to work in 1 minute. And everybody complained that like their computers were melting because they didn't have like 40 cores. So we had this shared pain thing again. And around that time, I saw that, oops, oh, that's not, I saw that, what's it called? Blacksmiths. They started something, a test box concept. So the idea is your computer power is limited, so you want to give the agent a little box where it can run the tests or do whatever it needs to be that's CPU intensive. And it was beautiful for a while, but the problem was their stuff was very new and it was down for at least 2 hours a day. And by then, our team was so dependent on it that like nothing would get done anymore in those 2 hours, because CI would break down and then tests would break down. So I was like, this is fine. I'll just build something that wraps it with alternatives. And that's how 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗀𝗏𝗏 was born, because you have to keep it with the weird crustacean names. Again, a very simple concept. You spin up a little inferral machine in the cloud, and then it rsyncs your changes in there. Your repo's already checked out. It runs the tests in there, and then you don't pay all the CPU stuff that you would need to run the test on your machine. You can use really beefy hardware. You can massively parallelize. Everyone's happy. And then this tool quickly became like universally loved, because it would use our main provider, and if that one's down, it would just use AWS or now also Azure. And then people started making pull requests, and now it supports like 20 providers. But it didn't stop there, because I recognized this is actually way more useful. Because oftentimes we have bugs where, oh yeah, on Windows there is an EPERM issue, even though we use Node and it should be cross-platform. There's like always little weird details where cross-platform is a lie. And then in the past, I would sometimes just like wipe it, because I'm too lazy to spin up my Windows computer. I could spin up a VM, but then how do I get it into the VM? And then I kind of like have to get codecs into the VM, because I can't do Git anymore without an agent, because it's 3 AM and I'm tired. You have to fight friction. Like ultimately, being lazy is good. So I noticed that I'm pushing slop because I'm too lazy to come up with a good testing system. So I added cross-platform support to 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. And now anytime there's something that's hairy, I just tell my agent, hey, test it on all OSs. And it will not just like create 1 box, it will create 3 boxes. Or maybe there's a weird issue that's only on Red Hat. Sorry, Sally, love Red Hat. And it will spin up 4 boxes. And you can scale it infinitum and like increase your confidence that your code actually works, and it can do that in parallel, which is really amazing. And then once I built that, got me thinking like, I have this bug, but it's like actually only on Windows on this browser, so I kind of need UI for that. Well, people already solved that. Just add VNC into it. So now I have a 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 like can recreate exact scenario, and then my agent opens a browser with web VNC, and in there's already a browser waiting and a terminal, and maybe Telegram or whatever I need. so I can recreate the issue end-to-end and test it. That was amazing. But still, like, I had to click myself. Oh, you know? You're like, laziness is good. So that got us the idea, wouldn't it be cool if the Clanker could do it? Of course they can do it. They have computer vision. Models got really good. So now CrabBox also has little tools for screenshot and click and type. And now I can actually, my agent can have its own little box with UI that it can use computer automation in to control the UI. That was still not good enough. I'm like, I don't want to watch the Clanker, I just want to see video. So what we built next was Mantis, where now we have an agent that I can ping on a pull request that'll spin up CRAB boxes, make a video of the bug, fix it, make a video of the fix, and actually look at the video and verify it. And then all I get, I see an issue, I can ping 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀 to fix it. It'll create the PR, Mantis will like do the visual verification, and all I have to do is like look at the video and press merge. And that's all built based on me being annoyed. The next thing I noticed, like you would use codecs, you would like do the prompt, and then you would do /review, because you're kind of unsure, maybe I should review it. And then codecs would find 3 issues. And you're like, yeah, damn, they're like, all of them sound real, so I fix it. And we run off for 10, 20 minutes, run all the tests again, and you're like, oh, is it really all fixed? Let's do /review again. It would run for 10 minutes. It would find 2 new issues. Because it can't show me all the issues at once. Yeah, it's just like they can't do it. You type fix again. You wait 20 minutes. You do something else. Go back. And like, yeah, but is it really fixed? You /review again. It would run for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You would find another issues. And I don't know, have you done this? Like I did this, and then there was one time I did this 10 times. It was the whole day. Like I added support for line. I don't even use line, but like somebody was very passionate about it. I wanted to get it in, and then all day I did this review, and I was like, enough is enough. Like I felt like I'm the Clanker. So I built auto review, and in the beginning I thought, oh, this is kind of annoying. I probably need hooks, or like maybe I have 4 codecs because codecs is open source. I could totally do that. But that turns out it's actually way easier than that, because agents are really good at following instructions for at least 4 or 5 months. So now there is one line in my agents.md that says, before you commit or land a PR, if you haven't done auto review it, run auto review. And again, review, some people say, look at the code with fresh eyes. Yeah, good luck with that. Like context doesn't really work that way. But you can just call, I don't know if you find but you get the idea. You can just call the agent that you use as CLI with the commands that it should do. So you get a fresh context by just calling, like codecs calls codecs to like run auto review. There was a bug sometimes. Sometimes codecs was calling codecs, and it took very long. I fixed that. But now I have a very reliable system that automatically runs many rounds of review. And I also tuned the skillmd file to explain the agent. Not every review thing is valid. Sometimes they would find very weird edge cases. So it's a little bit up to you to explain the agent the conditions, what you think is valid running. For example, in our case, we don't expect that you randomly edit plugin files while the system's running. The agent doesn't know that. So like by default, it would write very defensive code to like deal with all of those things. So it's always a good idea to write all these invariants into your agents.md file. That's a good idea in general, because you know that, but the clanker doesn't. And every time you start a new session, clanker memory is pretty much gone. So the more you tell it about your project, the better the time you'll have. I went all in from very long agent files to like very short ones, and now mine are kind of long again. But with meaningful stuff, every time you do that, it's also, don't write the text yourself. You know? None of this is written yourself. You don't know how to write to the clanker in the way the clanker writes to the clanker. So like you're going to explain what you want from the agent, and the agent will write in its own words. And then every once in a while, go into meta mode and just ask the agent, hey, is there anything that's confusing in your agents.md file? And then they will usually tell you, yeah, well, this is confusing because here it says this and here it says this. And then clean that up. Clean up any confusion, because that's just token burner, and will give you worse results. But I think if you only take about 2 ideas from this talk, try auto review and try Crabbox. It totally revolutionized how we build software. Like my trust in prompting and shipping is much, much higher with that stuff. There's another thing. When we get PRs, I would love to know how people came to that PR. Like, the good and the bad thing with agents is like a 1-line prompt can create 10 lines, 10 pages of content. And you don't always know how much work was put in. So very early on in our contributor guidelines, I asked people to please send me the prompts, and nobody would do it. Because there was just no good system, you know? I was fighting against people's laziness. Of course they will not do it. That one took me a long time to figure out. But now I built a skill. If you use OpenClaw and you send a pull request to OpenClaw, your agent will ask you, hey, do you want to send a privacy filtered version of the prompt? If you do that, we will look at your PR faster. And then the user can type yes, and then the agent will upload, will look on the disk, will find its own transcript, will cut the transcript to the interesting parts, and then we'll add those transcripts to the pull request. And suddenly I have a much more interesting data point about how much effort was put in, because that's ultimately what you're after. Like again, somebody can say fix issue number and send PR, and it's like 4 words, probably 5 tokens. And or somebody could actually spend a few hours and like have an actual discussion, and you don't always know. So this has been extremely helpful in figuring out what's total slop and what's kind of good slop. And again, like I could have done this half a year ago. It just didn't come to mind that actually it's that easy. Oftentimes, we're not limited anymore by intelligence. The models are good enough. Now, everything that we're limited of is our own imagination, what you do with it, and how to build things. Now, I built auto review, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And it made me really bad. It felt really bad for all the code that I committed without review. Now that I saw how much stuff the agent finds each time. And I thought GPT-5.5 is good, and yes, it is really good. But still, there's so many boo-boos. Like especially on large world, there's just mistakes and like difficult things the agent will only find after doing multiple rounds of reviews. So it got me worried. Like, oh, I wish I would have done this earlier. But you can't really, there's no /review for a project that has 1 million lines of code. There's too much, like, what should the agent focus on? It's too much for the context. it annoyed me. You know what happens when I'm annoyed. So I built 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. The principle is very simple, like, oh, you have a big project, let's take it apart into like 50 little subsections by feature or whatever, however else you can separate it, and then have the agent review each of those things separately. And then you can download this, run this on your project, and I guarantee you you'll find a lot of interesting things. It's not quite as perfect as paired change, because you would have to probably scale it up to thousands of codex sessions. Even with unlimited token, that's a problem. But it's really good at like cleaning up code bases. This is something that's not fully finished yet. But you know, I was so into 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 the more I worked with the team, the more. Did you have this where you ask your teammate, and your teammate will like pass stuff from the agent into chat, and then you would comment on it, and then they would pass stuff into the coding agent, and they would pass stuff back into the chat. I'm like, I don't know, you're just the intermediary. I want to talk to your clanker. So that's the last thing I built. Is this 𝗦𝗲𝗸𝗻𝗁, which is basically, we already have 𝗦𝗲box where the tests run. Couldn't Codex run in there as well? Turns out, yes, it can. And then you have multiplayer Codex. So now, if I work on something and I want a second opinion, I can just send a link to one of my maintainers, and like he can look at the session, talk to the session, take over the session. It's like multiplayer clanking. There's more stuff. We kind of rebuilt Slack. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. But we ran into this issue where we had all these model message channels. And you often want to test it end to end. But there was sometimes features are very difficult to understand with all the complex API. You kind of want to see it in the UI. And I built this automation. But man, anytime I logged in, there was like a Cloudflare, a capture, or like all these companies really don't like it if you spin up something in a box. Especially not if it's Linux-based and there's nobody logged in, and it just feels like someone's trying to hack their system. We're just trying to like make it work. But I can see why people don't like it or why their systems would freak out. So we just built our own messaging platform to like test, to like have real end-to-end tests with something that we have under control. And then it got a little bit out of hand, and now we kind of have a backup chat system that works whenever our team is down. It's called ClickClock. There's so much more. Where were we? I think I showed you a good part. Yes, of course, there's way more crawlers. But my big takeaway for this is listen to your body. Listen when you're annoyed. Annoyance is an amazing signal for we can automate this. And then anytime you automate something, it compounds. All these little tools, they're working together, right? I can only do the reports because I use disk crawl. And I could only use 𝗦𝗲𝗻𝗁 because I have 𝗦𝗲box. Even though all of these are weird names, they're incredibly helpful in helping us ship a massive code base with a very small team. And with that, I do think we have a few minutes of Q&A. There is a microphone. There's a microphone here. So shoot.
As you're building, so
It's making some noise.
Is it working?
Yes.
There we go. Sorry. As you're building this ecosystem and becoming more like enterprise, quote unquote, like, do you feel that there are times where you want to build something, but the dependency on the other things get in the way of you improving?
Hasn't happened so far yet.
Hasn't?
It's less dependencies. It's more like all those little tools compound and make building new tools faster. Okay. In many ways. Sometimes I use one tool in another tool. Many other times, and that's a general trick when you work with agents, if you've solved something once, you can just tell your agent, look there. I already solved this there. They're really good at pattern matching. So I would actually say it really compounds. Sometimes something doesn't work out, but then you learn from it. Like the token thing. Where was it? Too many things. The token thing, the first version I built was just on my machine. That was really awkward with the GitHub app. So like I iterated a bunch on it, and eventually it was like I ripped it all out. And I just told my agent, remove this feature here, rebuild this with this new idea, but take that part from that tool and like push it into your tool. And then basically you save the prompting, right? Because you can just tell the agent, look around this, look at the Git history. They're very smart at figuring out the context. Even better if you just press the whisper flow button and you just talk about it. Sometimes we just talk in the team about it and I just press the button and Codex would just listen in on the conversation and just start building while we've been discussing. Even though there's like side chatter and blah blah, but like it's clever enough to understand like, oh, this comment was a joke and this is important. So you just like, you can just do stuff.
Thank you.
All right. Hi, Peter. This is Divya.
Hey.
My biggest question is, this is awesome, but imagine you have a billion things on your plate as a solutions engineer, and I love the concept of building my own agents, but I simply don't have the time to actually go ahead and build tools to help me be more efficient and save time.
Do you know this meme in like Stone Age where they had this car with rectangular iPhone, and then the guy comes along with like the round one, and they're like, oh, we don't have time, we're so busy. So the beauty is, all these tools, they can be massive slop. It's like, you can literally tell your coders, hey, look at this session and see the pain that I had to do. Build me a tool that reduces the pain. This is the rough idea. You don't even have to give it the programming language. Nothing matters for like those little tools. Like I use Go. I don't even like Go. But like I know that my agents are fast in Go, so who cares? And then just like do it on the side. You know, it's like there's always space somewhere in the corner for a little window for like experiments. And it also takes the fun a little bit back. And then it really compounds.